You're looking for a monitor that won't make you regret the purchase the moment you sit down, something that feels solid day to day, stays easy on the eyes, and actually gives you the performance you need for the price you're paying. That hesitation is real. I've spent a lot of time scrolling through spec sheets, watching YouTube roundups, and reading what owners are saying about 27-inch high refresh panels before I even opened the box. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's dig into why the Kuycon P27S might be the answer to that "is it worth it?" question, and where it could fall short. First off, the headline numbers look impressive: a 27-inch 2K screen with a 320Hz refresh rate, IPS panel, 10-bit color depth, and HDR support. Those are the kind of specs you normally see on premium gaming monitors that cost a few $100s more. But what does that mean when you actually start using it for a few hours a night? If you're the type of gamer who plays fast-paced shooters or high-speed battle royales, the 320Hz refresh is a game-changer. I tried a 2-minute session in a competitive FPS and the motion felt remarkably fluid, especially when the game's frame rate hovered around 200 frames per second. The 1 millisecond gray-to-gray response time kept ghosting to a minimum, and the variable refresh, VRR, smoothed out the occasional dip when the GPU couldn't keep up. In practical terms, that translates to clearer target tracking and less eye fatigue during those marathon sessions. For a user with a mid-range RTX 3060 or a Radeon 6700 XT, you'll still get a noticeable uplift compared to a standard 144Hz panel, even if you can't always push the full 320Hz. Now, color-critical work is where the IPS panel really shines. The P27S covers 99% of the sRGB space and 98% of DCI-P3, which is a sweet spot for photo editing, video grading, and even some design tasks. The 10-bit depth, meaning it can display over a billion colors, gives smoother gradients and reduces banding in gradients that you often see on 8-bit panels. I opened a few raw photos in Lightroom and the colors looked natural without any obvious oversaturation, which is something you sometimes have to chase with cheaper TN panels. If you also enjoy streaming movies or HDR content, the monitor's HDR10 support offers a peak brightness of 400 candelas per m and a typical 1000 candelas per m local boost. It's not a true HDR light like a 1000 nit professional monitor, but you'll notice a clearer distinction between dark shadows and bright highlights in supported titles. Eye comfort is a hidden but important factor. The P27S includes a flicker-free backlight and a low blue light mode that I kept on during a 3-hour gaming stretch. My eyes felt less strained compared to a typical high-refresh monitor that doesn't have those features. The glossy coating gives the panel a vibrant look, but it also reflects ambient light. In a bright room with windows, you'll see some glare, so a matte screen or a proper desk lamp positioned behind you makes a big difference. If you work in a sunlit office, this might become a distraction. One practical consideration that often gets glossed over, pun intended, is the lack of an integrated stand. The P27S ships as a minimalist panel that relies on a VESA-compatible mount. For people who already have an adjustable arm or a sturdy desk mount, that's fine, and it actually frees up desk space. However, if you're buying this as a plug-and-play solution and don't have a mount on hand, you'll need to budget extra for a stand or a monitor arm. The mounting points feel solid, but you'll have to do a bit of extra legwork. Power draw is another real-world factor. The monitor consumes up to 100 W at peak performance, which isn't a deal-breaker but is something to keep in mind if you're aiming for an energy-efficient setup. It also means your GPU will have to work a bit harder to push 2K at high frame rates, especially in graphically intense titles. If you plan on consistently gaming at 320 Hz, you'll likely need a higher-end card to avoid dipping below 144 frames per second in demanding scenes. That doesn't make the monitor a bad buy, but it does shift part of the cost to your graphics card. So, who should consider the Kuycon P27S? If you're an esports-oriented gamer who values ultra-smooth motion, or a creator who needs a wide color gamut without breaking the bank, this monitor lands squarely in your sweet spot. It also works well for anyone who already owns a VESA mount and wants a clean, minimalist aesthetic on their desk. The combination of high refresh, strong color coverage, and eye care features gives you a solid all-rounder for both play and work. Who might skip it? If you're a casual office user, a streamer who doesn't need that extreme refresh, or someone who prefers a built-in ergonomic stand, there are cheaper options that will meet your needs without the extra mounting hassle. Likewise, if you have a very bright workspace and can't control glare, a matte screen panel would spare you the constant adjustment of lighting. In terms of value, the P27S